Hi, I'm Krystyne Cheever, and welcome to the All Friends Cabaret. It's the show that connects you. Tonight, I'm really excited to have two gentlemen with me who have put together a new foundation that are going to help at-risk youth. And it's called the TLC, Arts and Sciences Foundation, and it's for the arts. And so I welcome Tom Connors and Sean Goodwin. Welcome to the program.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and it's really nice to have you guys on, because what you're doing is going to be wonderful for youth, for businesses, community members, and the like. So tell me, what is the TLC Arts and Sciences Foundation?
Well, the idea of it, it's a philanthropic organization, foundation we put together so that we can provide funding for various projects, of which the primary one, it would be the Youth Theater Project. And the object of that game is to provide workable skills for at-risk youth, at-risk being kids who might otherwise go to jail or commit crimes, you know, or who are disenfranchised or homeless, you know, so that they have an opportunity to express themselves and learn job skills is what it amounts to.
All right, and you founded it this year, is that correct?
Well, actually I founded it personally last year in the fall, but Sean joined the team at the beginning of this year, which now makes it a team, and he's been organizing the local community, you know, to help us develop these skills.
All right. And what is it that made you think, okay, anyone in performance, you can utilize those skills from performance to help children or at risk?
I've seen this in the past, and it is the case that, for instance, construction set and design, you know, seamstress, you know, the lighting engineer, audio engineer. You know,
Yes.
Sean can, can expound on that.
All these skills can be used outside. If you want to stay in theater, all the better for us, because we love theater. But if you want to go outside of theater, if you work on building sets, then you learn construction skills. So you can go into that field. You can also learn, you know, to perform, which would help you make a PowerPoint presentation in a business meeting.
Right.
You could learn to write. You could learn the finances of the business. You could learn any number of things, makeup, costuming.
Right.
Any of these things can be translated outside of the business, outside of theater. But if you want to stay in theater, fantastic, but it can be translated outside, and it gives you kind of a fun way of doing it.
Right.
Tag it on the resume.
Yeah.
Right,
You know?
and that,
Exactly.
you know, it's, when I read about your organization, I myself have a theater degree. I've been creative here. However, I've also been able to parlay it into my daily work life and in the business world. And so there is some real truth to that you can take and hone those skills and then bring them to your everyday life.
What other profession can really say that? Where you can, you know, there's so many various aspects of it where you can translate to any other type of business.
Yes, and tell me the quote. There's a quote that you say, building life skills through theater
We have an
art.
argument about this because it's
Oh,
my
you do?
quote.
Well, actually, the original
I'm
started.
sorry.
It's a cooperative effort, actually. What
We
happened,
laughed about
Chris,
that. We heard about that earlier.
Yeah, Chris,
Yeah.
what happened is we made some T-shirts even and whatnot. And I had originally written "Saving the World Through Theater Art."
Okay.
And I was like, that's
And
not
it
too
turns
pompous.
out that is a little pretentious and self-aggrandizing. So, you know,
So I came up with that quote.
so Sean decides that it's rather building life skills through theater art. So that's
And
our tagline now.
It goes back to, you know, what we were saying before, which is the fact that we build life skills through theater, which is, you know, even, you know, you don't have to be a theater person to come join us.
Right, so let's talk about the A, B's, and C's of it. So now you've formed the foundation, and you're starting out your work in Quincy, right here in Quincy,
Sure.
is that? Okay,
Absolutely.
So tell me your next steps, or some of the steps.
Right now, what we're doing is we're, you know,
You have a website, I know that, which we're going to show.
as you just saw, I gave my card to the band you're about to have on next, so that's
Oh,
the way
good.
I always work.
That's good, that's good.
We're building networks.
Okay,
We're
okay.
basically we're building networks. We're always looking for people who want to jump on. What we're looking for, and what we consider ourselves as a meritocracy. We don't look for someone who necessarily, oh, you have this great resume at something. What we want is what you have a passion for. And if you can do that, we want to groom that and bring you in. So I have a friend of mine who is in insurance, but I think he would be a great PR person.
Right.
So I'm sitting there looking at this. I was like, why don't you come join us for
I
this?
see. So it's a twofold. So you're looking for community outreach. You're doing outreach in the community for people to get involved. But then also, how are you reaching the youth that you?
Well, what's going to happen with that is that we're going to take
address
these
that also.
people, huh?
Oh, go ahead. Go
Oh, I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, no.
What we're going to do is we're going to take these people that we're bringing in and have them teach the kids.
Okay.
And as far as at-risk youth goes, it's more than that though. It's kids who are lost per se. They kind of lost their way a little bit. They don't necessarily have to be just out of jail,
No, right.
but it's just someone who
creative
just
outlet.
they can't, because as we've talked about before, all the arts are getting taken out of schools.
Yes.
So what we're trying to do is put some of that back. And we want to kind of add that back into it and bring in kids who just don't know what they want to do and kind of guide them a little bit.
And it turns out that some of the spiritual base in Quincy is a really good thing. This is a small city, where
is.
people are relatively tight, in the spiritual world. And one of the auditoriums, a venue, for instance, for the performing arts, that's quite extraordinary. If you folks aren't familiar with it, is the auditorium at the Unitarian Universalist
Right across the
Church.
street, yeah.
Nice.
Right, and in case people aren't familiar with that organization, they also sponsor something called the Liberal Religious Youth, which is their youth group, and they help manage a camp in Western Massachusetts called Row Camp, which we would intend to send our theater people to assist these kids at Row Camp in a theater project that could only last, say, 2 weeks. Put something together for them. But in terms of the church operation, we intend to go into serious negotiations with them about allowing this organization, TLC Arts and Sciences, to do independent performing arts via their venue.
Okay, and then there's also an element where you want to do originals. Is that correct?
Absolutely,
Okay.
because the whole
Original
key to that,
pieces and
original music, everything,
Yes.
because that's where the creative output comes from. There's something really kind of graceful and wonderful about making something out of nothing.
right.
And there's
right.
really
And the
something
kids
energetic.
themselves, you see, the kids themselves will eventually be writing their own shows. And they'll
They'll
start from
actually-
scratch. They'll write it,
Right.
rehearse it,
and then
build
stage
the
it.
sets for it, stage it, do the
Right.
graphics
great.
arts
We want
for
them.
it.
We basically, as Thomas said many times, we want to work ourselves out of a job.
Yeah.
Okay.
We want them
That's
to
exactly
take the whole
what we
thing
wanna do.
over.
Oh, all right.
So
But
that
our-
the foundation eventually becomes the very people that are working for it.
I see.
Our first project we want to do that we've talked about extensively is something that Tom has written a while ago, which was called Snippets, which is kind of almost like you're sitting out on, you're sitting out in a patio out in Quincy Center and just listening to conversations. So we thought this would be a great idea for the kids, because what can happen is they don't have to structure a whole play for themselves, which can be difficult the first time out. All they have to do is come up with little scenes,
A snippet,
snippets.
Yes. Okay.
if you will.
So that
Okay.
way they can add their creative input to that concept. And so
right.
you have a series of little snippets where they get to express their own
Their
passion.
and their own particular perspective and
Right.
point of view.
Oh, that's
Exactly.
great. That's great. So, to get in touch with you, we have the website on the screen, but anybody can get a hold of you guys in terms
Certainly.
of emailing about an interest in becoming a part of it.
We'd love it.
And you'll end up on the mailing list, and we'll keep you posted to
Yep.
all the things that are going on as we develop. The best part about this, for many people, I'm sure, is going to be, and it certainly was for Sean and I, is that it's a fledgling organization. It's initially funded, endowed, and and I'd like to point out that the TLC stands for 2 or 3 things. One of them is they're my father's initials.
All
And
right.
the initial endowment for this organization came from the estate of my father,
Okay.
who he put up a few dollars, and we put it in the foundation right away.
Oh, that's
so,
great.
Yeah, and then subsequently it'll be funded by the general public.
That's
Through
wonderful.
donations that can be done through the website, plus grantsmanship, which we will also teach the kids.
Well, I think
as
it's a
well.
wonderful concept. It's a wonderful organization, and this
Thank you.
foundation is
Thank
going to
you.
just bring so much, not only helping and assisting those at risk, but also giving creative people like myself and others who are out there to contact you and to be able to get involved in a creative, fun
Can I
way.
mention one other
Very
thing?
Oh, of
exciting.
course, yes.
is that this is just the beginning. What we, again, as Tom was mentioning before, this is just an umbrella. So if people have kind of a creative idea, whether it be TV, theater, anything, we're looking to endow it and bring it under our umbrella.
Eventually.
All right.
So
We've got
eventually,
our regular first projects out of the way.
Right.
And
Yes.
we can show them some success.
but this is just a start.
Yeah, we'll
That's
start off.
great. Well, it's a great one. And
Yeah.
so Tom Connor, Sean Goodwin, thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on the
Thank you so
Cabaret.
much.
Thanks for
I
having
really
us.
appreciate you coming on
It's
and
been a
sharing your
pleasure.
story. And we'll hear some great things from you, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Thank